Hi, this is Dana, and welcome to another Wrestling Mama podcast. Today I have an interview with Tina Lillard for you. She is the mother of Tyler Lillard, who is currently wrestling for Indiana University. He just finished his freshman year, and their story is truly amazing. So, Dan Gable says that after wrestling, everything else in life is easy. Well, I think it's just the opposite for this family. After what they've been through in life, it makes wrestling look easy. So just remember as you watch to pay attention to how they use their struggles and hardships and turn it into good. And if you want to continue to hear more content like this and more interviews with wrestling mamas, then remember to like and subscribe, and please share the video. And here it is. All right, thank you, Tina, so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and just start by just telling me about you and your family.
Awesome. So my name is Tina Lillard. I am the proud mother of Tyler Lillard, who is just finished his freshman year at Indiana University. I'm actually an only child, and both of my parents are deceased. And I am divorced, and I am have no other children. So my family is Tyler, wonderful friends and support family. But that's it. It's just Tyler and I, TNT.
Yeah, awesome. And where did Tyler grow up?
So Tyler was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I was married to dad, and he was born there until the year till 4 years old. And then I ended up moving closer to my mom. I got a fantastic opportunity. So really quick, my background: I am a chemical engineer. And I am also I have a undergrad in chemistry and chemical engineering. So two bachelors in chemical engineering and chemistry. I have a master's in chemical engineering. I have an MBA. And when Tyler was 4, he was diagnosed with a learning disability. So I didn't want to not know the laws and the just teaching, learning strategies and how to deliver for him. And I did not want him in a special education setting. So I actually went back to school and got an accelerated master's degree in special education.
You did? Okay.
I did.
Okay. So did you homeschool him?
I did not.
Okay.
No, I believe in the public school or private setting. And no, I just wanted to know what my rights were, what his rights were, what the school could do, what the school couldn't do, what I needed to do extra. So I just had this conversation. Side note. So really quick, I worked in the industry. I worked in engineering for a long time. When Tyler became fascinated and obsessed with wrestling, I ended up leaving that it was just I couldn't be like in a plant and work and raise Tyler by myself. And so I ended up doing technical recruiting. I met this guy. He's like, man, we need you, because when the engineers talk, we don't know what they say. And you're like, bubbly. You're not like every other engineer. Why don't you do sales and recruiting for us? I'm like, oh, that would be great. I could still stay in a technical realm. And so I did technical IT, engineering, scientific recruiting for a while. And it was flexible. You could do it from Vegas or you could do it from, Michigan. So I did that for a long time. And um, there was something I was going somewhere with that. What did you ask?
Where you lived. So
Oh yeah. So Tyler was born in Michigan. My parents were ill, so I moved closer to them. We moved back to Champaign. I grew up in Southern Illinois, but I went and moved him to Champaign. There was a great school for kids with like slower learning, people who had processing delay. And so I moved to Champaign and put him in school there.
okay. And what age did he start wrestling?
Okay, so then hear me out. So at the age of 5, we were in Champaign. Then my mother got really ill. So when he was 6, I moved back home, and then my mom passed away. So then we moved to Atlanta. And I was, honestly, just I support, just mental health. I was not in a good place, and I'm a recruiter now, and I'll get to that. And I was not in a good place. I was an only child. I had lost my best friend, and it was devastating. So I was unsettled. I was unsettled. My support system was gone. My dad was my parents had been married over 50 years at that time, and my dad was devastated. My dad tried to commit suicide. We talked very openly about suicide, and I was devastated. I was like all over the place. So I moved around and um, got settled in Atlanta. Loved Atlanta. Had some family in Atlanta that I needed their support. They were cousins, but just like aunts, and just a great support system. And we're in Atlanta. So now it's like Tyler's like second grade. My mom passed away. Tyler's in second grade, and we're in Atlanta, and he brings home a flyer. And so Tyler was super athletic, like nonverbal, but super athletic. And I was like, the doctors would always say, how's he physically? And I was like, the kid can walk, run, crawl. She can't hold a pencil. Let's work on that part, And so he brings home a flyer, and he's like, I want to wrestle. I'm like, kid, that is the dumb, like, stop it. Stop it right now. You're not wrestling. I am not. That is brutal. It's barbaric.
Did you
And
have
he will get
any history of wrestling? Did you know anything
zero.
about the sport? No.
Zero. When I was in education and teaching, I had students that wrestle, and they're like, Miss Lillard, come and see us wrestle. And of course, I would go. I like sports, but my kid was never doing that ever. And the kids would say, Miss Lillard, your Tyler's going to be a wrestler. I'm like, he doesn't even talk. Like, stop it. Like, he's not going to be a wrestler. That's insane. And he brought home a flyer. We were in north suburbs in Atlanta, and he's like, please, please, please. I was like, Ty, no, and he's like, just just try it. So I go, and they're talking about nutrition, and they're talking about, just the positives of, he'll be stronger, more confident. And I was like, this is insane. So he does this little trial, and, and the coaches, I'm really big on, as a single mom, my time is limited. My, resources at times were limited. And I'm big on, don't sell me a dream. Like, he's not LeBron, he's not Jordan. They would say, wow, he's really good. I'm like, you met him for a second. Like, I would not, like, I'm a don't BS me parent, right?
Sure, sure.
Don't try to sugarcoat it. He's not good. You don't even, like, he can't even wrestle. Like, he's never been around wrestling. He's good. They're like, his technique. I'm like, you guys are crazy. But, I'll oblige, and I'll try it, and
Sure.
so I tried it. And Tyler, I'll never forget this day. This is my favorite day in Tyler's wrestling career. He looked at me, and he's like, it's his first tournament, and I'm getting him ready, and we're taking pictures. He's got his little singlet on, and he said to me, yeah, this is going to be so exciting. And to me, I was like, get this over with, like, beat him down, brutalize him. We'll be done. We can go back to basketball. That's what I want you to be. You're tall, you're lanky. And we get to the tournament, and he got destroyed, brutally destroyed. I was so happy. We got, you can hurt his face, little poor little face on the mat. He wore glasses, so his little got, it was horrible. It was like the most, berating thing I've ever seen. So we get in the car, and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be over, And he was, had been to therapy. He was verbal, and I was like, how'd that go? My expectation is I can't believe I didn't win. I didn't get a medal. He's like, that was the best thing ever. It makes me tear up, because it was a changing point for me, because it wasn't about winning.
No.
It was he had a blast.
Wow.
He said, in his exact words, and Tyler is just great with words, profound, like, just kind of stops me in my tracks. Tyler said to me, it's okay because next time I'll do better.
Yeah.
And next time I'll win. I'm
Wow.
like, how do you've never done this before. How do you know, how do you set that goal for yourself and you don't even know?
Right. Right.
Profound.
Yeah.
I was so
So at that time, how old was he at his first tournament?
7.
7. So was he doing any other sports at the time?
Yeah, we did football
Okay.
that season. There was a track program. He ran track. Absolutely.
Okay. And how
Absolutely.
often was his wrestling practice? Was it year
Uh,
round or just seasonal?
It was year round. I
Okay.
started him. I was sold on the Greco. Like our it was Johns Creek youth program,
Okay.
and the Coach Andrew, Coach Brett, they were amazing with him.
Mhm.
Amazing. They knew his disabilities. They knew that he has some challenges, learning wise and listening wise, but they took their time and they were fantastic with him.
Right.
And
Right.
then
Right.
that summer, Tyler was diagnosed with epilepsy and a brain tumor, and he went through the worst testing. Just a lot of tests being run, and we got to find out what's wrong. And his vision started declining, and so he went through a lot of things. And then what happened was he told me, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't go through that and this.
Mhm.
And so I said, okay. And he was actually getting better. He was starting to win. And of course, that's important when you're that age. And he was starting to just, learn the technique, learn the basic moves. And a coach, there was a gentleman, his name was Anthony Jennings. We were Facebook friends. I, met him in Atlanta, and he was friends with me on Facebook. Another lady I have to shout out, her name is Treza, and we were Facebook friends. She had lost her son, and so we were, with a brain cancer.
Mm.
So just connected with people like that through that. And she said, "There's a guy I want you to meet." And his name was Coach Charlie Morris, and her kids were training there, and Anthony's kids were training there. They Facebook friend and tagged me. They tagged me in Facebook, and um, so I go meet Charlie. Coach Charlie is my closest friend to this day,
Mhm.
and I said, personality galore, just over the top personality from New York, so a little
Mm.
wild, and
Yep.
right. And
My
he
dad's
said,
from New York, so yep.
so you understand. And he said to me, I'm going to make your son a champion. I'm like, well, he doesn't even want to do it. Like, that doesn't make sense. He's like, bring him to me. I was like, you're crazy. And I thought he was crazy. I thought Charlie was nuts. He's like, bring him to me. I'm like, I'm not paying, right? I'm single mom. I'm not paying for it. He's like, I don't care about that. Bring him to me. So I brought Tyler. And of course, as a mom knows her child, Tyler did not want to wrestle. And he said, just sit him on the mat. I was like, you guys are crazy. I'm going to go sit in the car. Like, I don't have time to sit here and, I got to work. I got things to do. I don't have time to sit here and watch him on the mat. So every day I'd bring him and Tyler would sit on the mat. And sure as again, the sun is shining, he got back on the mat. And Charlie's like, from then on, Charlie, took him under his wing. And then his diagnosis, he got worse. And so this is about age, so 2012, maybe not, he was like 9 or 10, maybe even 11 or 12, like around that, preteen age. And the doctor said, he's going to lose his vision. 1000% he's going to lose his vision. And another, just it makes me tear up when I hear it, when I think about this story. If if you're ever down, listen to Tyler. Like if you ever want a kid to just whisper something in your ear, and just ask him a question, right? And I went to the park, and we were in Atlanta, and I said, I got to talk to you. Yeah, I said, we've got to have a really serious conversation. You're gonna, the doctor said you're gonna lose your eyesight, and it could happen one eye, then the other. It could happen both at the same time. I don't know. And I'm brutally honest with him. I think it's very important to be honest with him and our situation. And I said, not that other parents aren't, but I'm like very transparent and honest with him. And I said, um, I don't know what that's like. I've never lost my vision. I don't know if you're going to be black, see black, see spots. There's a thousand different ways this could go. And Tyler says to me, it's okay because God has allowed me to see what I've needed to see.
Oh. So you guys must have a pretty deep faith.
Very deep
Okay.
faith. And like, what do you say to that?
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting in the park, gorgeous days in Atlanta. What do you say?
Yeah.
I have no choice but to support a kid that thinks that.
And I
Uh,
think what I see with him and just what I've read about him is
mhm,
just his positive outlook on life, how
mhm,
he can take something that other people would see as a complete devastation
mhm.
and he turns it out to good and uses it for good.
Every
And
time.
that's just
Time.
amazing. It's amazing.
I'm so sorry because like I tear up every time. Like you would think I've gotten over it. It's been almost 10 years. But it just like, what do you, I have, no, like, I'm not speechless. Clearly, I'm not speechless at any point in the game. I am not speechless, but that just again stopped me in my tracks. It stopped. It was so profound
Right.
that this kid is so comfortable with life and it's like if tomorrow he woke up and could not see, he was okay.
Wow.
So you support that, right? The kid has good grades, he's great with friends, he makes friends, and at this point, so we decided from the age of 7 through, even today, that we would tackle epilepsy different and any learning challenge different. So most people are bullies or scared or because they don't know. It isn't because they're really bullies. It's because they don't know. And when you fear the unknown, your natural response is to act out, act standoffish, act cool, whatever it is, right? That's a natural response. And we understood that early, right? Tyler couldn't see, he wore big glasses. So he had, when he was little, kids would make fun of his glasses. So we were like, you know what? We're going to tell people if you take away someone's power, they will befriend you. So every year at the beginning of the class, we would he and I together would talk to the teachers and we would say, look, Tyler will have a seizure in your classroom. It will happen. It's bound. He had 80 a day, 80 seizures
Wow.
a day.
Okay.
He will have a seizure in your classroom. And this is what we're going to go read it. We're going to tell your kids about seizures. We're going to read a book, age appropriate
Mhm.
as he got older. And we're going to let them know what they need to do. And sure enough, he had a seizure. And Logan Ricks is like his mother, Stacy, is my dearest friends.
Mhm.
Saved his life one day.
Wow.
Saved his life in third grade. Saved his
Third
life.
grade. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the kids knew what to do. And the kids, if we did not educate them, they would have made fun of that. When you see a lot, your
Mhm.
body loses function.
Yep.
And when that happens, kids are scared. And,
Mhm.
but there has not been one time someone has made fun of him because we talk about it all the time.
Yeah. You're open and real with people.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think too with everyone, we all have our unique struggles. We all have like a thorn in our side.
Mhm.
And your situation is different than a lot because you can see it, I guess. It's health related rather than some people just have that doubt or that
For sure.
fear or afraid they're going to get hurt. So we had a situation I think it was last weekend at a Greco tournament, and a lot of kids got injured, but one in particular, like kind of bent his arm weird and it broke real bad. And poor kid, he was probably 8. And
For sure.
I
That's
was
devastating.
devastated for him. And I just thought, wow, like, how is he going to go overcome that fear to come back, to
Right.
continue to wrestle?
For sure.
Um, because it's easy to say, forget this, I
Yeah,
might
I'm
get
out.
hurt again.
Okay,
It's too
but I'm gonna go
hard.
do something else. Exactly.
Right. I mean, so your situation, what advice would you give other moms to keep going?
So listen to your child, right? Your child will tell you um to, like, if they really, just listen to them. Don't put Wrestling is a sport that, like, when you win, it's like, I gotta do it again. It's like it's like exhilarating, right? It's like 3 minutes or two, a minute 30 per period or whatever your periods are. It's just like, and then it's, lows, and it's ebb and flow, like quick ebb and flow,
Mhm.
right? It's like, and then you get into it, it's like, I always compare it to pageant moms for like, boys and girls. It's like you're so deep into it. So just going through the process of elementary, middle school, and Tyler has always done freestyle Greco and folk every year. I just believed in the commitment to the sport. I would say your kids will tell you, they will tell you, and don't push them beyond that, and I definitely have fun. We had a rule: we did not talk about wrestling after a tournament ever. We would
Really?
not get in yep, we still have that rule
Hmm.
to this day. If we, after the tournament, now we will debrief the tournament for sure, but it will not be as soon as we get in the car, or as soon in college, as soon as he got home, 24 hours before we even mentioned the tournament.
Too
We
fresh?
like, yep,
Yeah.
yep. He needs to process. I don't care if he's 9 or 19. He needs to, or he or she needs to process it. So no pressure, right? What will happen will happen.
Hmm.
The sport is growing immensely, right? For boys and girls. The competition is growing. COVID, has log jammed some things for high schoolers and collegiate wrestling. And it will, like, life will happen regardless. And the third thing I would tell people is, somewhere someone can't do what you're doing. They don't have the opportunity to do what you're doing. Each moment, each minute, each period, each call, each takedown, each escape is a blessing. That's the advice that I have.
That's great. And I think that that's really important for other moms to know is there's a difference between like pushing a kid and then just giving them that stress and worry, that pressure, like you said.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it's already a sport where they're battling and they're fighting.
For sure.
They don't
Wait.
need to be
Yeah, yeah,
battling
yeah,
and
yeah.
fighting at home as well. And you could have done this or you could have done better. And I think it's so important to make wrestling fun. It
Yes.
is at an early age for sure. Was it always fun for him? Did he always enjoy it?
It is. It is. It's
Yeah.
definitely more stress the higher you get,
Okay.
but he's always had fun. He dances. He's a dancer,
Yeah.
like dancer.
Really?
Oh, dancer,
Huh.
yeah, to the 100 and millionth power dancer.
Cool.
You'll find him listening to music, and he may, I mean, yeah, and he's just stress free. And I'm not saying that there have not been stressful moments. I mean, he went to state in Ohio. He won state. He won the state tournament. That was pretty, like, wow, I did it. But putting it in perspective, like, we were just thankful we were there, because the year before or 2 years before, COVID can't, you just have to put things in perspective, and no stress. Now, let me share this. I was not that parent before. I've grown too,
Mhm.
immensely. And I just know that too hands on in this sport, and they'll hate it. and my kid does not hate the sport at all. So,
Hmm.
and I'm not, everybody, like, that's what worked for Tina and Tyler, right? And I'm not
Sure.
saying, like, I don't even have the right to say this family or this child and this, mom or this dad or these parents should do, like, that's just not me.
Hmm.
But what I can say is that we measured success. We had our success measures, we had our goals, and I think he's hit it every time.
That's awesome. So do
And and
you,
and, and well, I want to say this too. I have always just been a cheerleader and proponent of, and Coach Angel Escobedo will, if he ever sees this, he will get me for saying this, because in college, that they kind of want the kids to be focused, but I truly believe in stepping outside of the box and doing things, to like other things, right? I
like
just don't want
like
him
to,
to be just a wrestler. Shh, don't tell
yeah,
anyone I said that.
but to
But
have a release, you're talking about like almost like a release, a
yeah,
stress-free
yeah,
kind of
like be on the
activity.
chess club,
Sure.
go swimming, do some bowling, things like that. They do not do that. I can tell you. I don't know about other college programs, but I do know that, for Indiana University that I love.
Mhm.
I love that he's here. That, they are very focused on student. They do on the academic and the wrestling. And Tyler, he actually just won a all athletics, so every sport here at Indiana University. He won the diversity award because he is active in and people think diversity culture, right? He actually has a disability. He's starting a disabilities club for athletes, so athletes with disabilities, and he is starting. And he was on several leadership um, in several leadership organizations, is the word I want to use,
Sure.
for the campus outside of athletics. So very proud
Wow.
of him.
So what was it like? Because I mean, he's wrestling at a D1 school. I mean,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to kind of get that call and that offer? Like, hey, we want Tyler to come wrestle.
So funny story. And I have never had the opportunity to tell this story, and
Oh,
Tyler
good.
would love for me to tell this story. So this is an exclusive.
Okay, awesome. Perfect.
Yes, you heard it here
Mhm.
first. Um, Tyler what set the goal in high school to wrestle Division 1. That has all, like, day one of high school. Like, I'm going to get, June 15th, my sophomore, going into my junior year, I'm going to get calls from Division 1 coaches, and I'm going to accept it. Now I'm academia, right? I'm like, wait, make sure they have your major.
Mhm.
And so his freshman, sophomore year, I actually took him around to school because no coach could talk to him. I actually took him through admissions programs, and we used to go and do Saturday admissions tours
Oh, cool.
because I wanted him to see school from that vantage point,
Right.
not from the athletic vantage point. I want you to know what do you want to be? Wrestling ends, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's fun. You can't be 40 in wrestling,
Mhm.
collegiate, right? And so we went to Purdue, we went to Lock Haven, we went to University of Illinois, my alma mater.
Okay.
We went to Illinois State. I mean, we just went around looking at schools, and and they would do it big. They were like, "Oh my gosh, a freshman is here! A freshman in high school is here." They'd have your name on the marquee, and here's your folder. You got goodies. We got goodies from all. Like, if you want a goodies from, call me, because we have got goodies from all schools, and got shirts, and they kind of do it up for admissions. This is before, COVID, of course. But his sophomore year, we were all over the road, and I had him make a binder, and the binder was called "What If I Didn't Wrestle?
Hmm.
Where would I be if I didn't wrestle?" And he, like, "What's important for you in schools?" So he made the binder, and then the summer of COVID, because he was busy, at that point the colleges couldn't contact him, it was crazy. I said, Now add wrestling, and what schools would you want to be at? Yeah, so we made a binder, and then I had him say, now put wrestling in it, right? And what school. So even if these coaches call you, right, then you could say, it's okay to turn them down. You don't have to accept everything that is thrown your way, because you will not be happy. Just go into school. So he actually had 26 Division I phone calls, several Division II and III phone calls, and Indiana University was not one of them.
Really?
It was not on. We were not on their radar,
Okay.
and they were not on ours. And more, they were not on Tyler's, right?
Right.
And he, I was invited on a podcast by Coach Cornell Robinson, who is the head coach at Wyoming Seminary now. But Cornell and I are from the same area, like just hometown. So we've been friends for a while. And he invited me on a podcast for African American coaches, and I was the single mom representative.
Sure.
And so we're on this podcast, and Coach Angel Escobedo, and we laughed because I don't know if it was because he was a lightweight, and I was really kind of focused on middleweights and learning middleweights, but I really just never heard of him. I know that is so bad. We laugh now, and he laughs at me now, but so he was just like, I was like, in everything he said, I held on to every word and what he had to offer. So I sent Cornell a text. I'm like, thanks for having me on your program, but can you have Coach Escobedo call me? And he said, just reach out to him. He's a great guy. I'm like, I know, but you know him. I don't know him. He's like, nope, you reach out to him. And I was like, all right, could you tell him I'm going to reach out to him? He's like, I'll do that. And that I tweeted him. I mean, I didn't know how to get a hold of him. So I sent him a Twitter message, and I said, Coach Escobedo, this is Tina Lillard, Tyler Lillard's mom. I don't know if you know him or me or whatever, but if you could give me a call. My phone rang 5 minutes later. And Coach Escobedo called me, and he's like, well, yeah, I know Tyler, but that wasn't on the list. Every time he talks, he doesn't talk about us. And we didn't want to go after a kid that, we weren't on their list. And, he said, but I'd give him a call in a heartbeat. And I said, here's his number. And that's all she wrote.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. So what was like the first 3 colleges that were like on his list?
On his list, or he was on their list?
His list.
Okay, his list. He had 7. Wow. He had 7 colleges. I cannot discount any, and in no particular order. It was North Dakota State University, which just got a new head coach today with Coach Obi Blanc. He had Northern Illinois University. Mm-hmm. He had Purdue University. Wow. University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, Campbell University, and there was 2. Oh, Lock Haven, because Coach Nate Carr, and there was one more, if I forget it. Oh, Wyoming. Okay. Coach Tiam Ware and Coach Branch were calling, and that was on his list. And they had North Dakota State. People are like, oh, Fargo. We actually love Fargo. I think it's because we go in the summer.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll just go with that. Yep. But North Dakota State was, they had, at the time, Tyler wanted to be a landscape architect, and they had a fantastic program. So that's how we did it. But Indiana's been great.
Wow. So your knowledge of these colleges and coaches is just very, very thorough. For sure. Yeah. And so as your role as his mom, it sounds like you had many roles. You were the one that was taking him everywhere. You were supporting him emotionally and as well as financially. So were you at the practices? Did you kind of cross that line to where you started learning about wrestling, coaching a little? It sounds like you did. Okay.
For sure. So, one of the things that I read an article, he was probably, right in middle school. And it wasn't even an article, it was a Facebook post. And it said, what makes a wrestler elite in
Mm-hmm.
high school? And the number one thing was a 2-parent home.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's I get it.
Right.
I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could have a 2-parent home and there's turmoil.
Yeah.
And you know what? That wrestler or that child will be in turmoil. And you can have a 1-parent home that can be the best 1-parent home, and you could have the best wrestler. So I was like, you know what? And I actually have had people say, oh, he's saying you're from a single parent home, you can't go. I'm like, that's not what is that? Like, that's not an excuse. Say I can't do it because I can't afford it. I'm very transparent. Can't afford it. Say I can't do it because I have to work.
Mm-hmm.
But don't ever say I can't do it because of a 1-parent home. And so I just was like, and I'm a person, if you say can't, I'm gonna show you can.
That's probably where Tyler gets it from.
Well, thank you. And and especially something as passionate as he was about it. So I began to study wrestling, like study it. Um, I'm an engineer, right? It's a circle. It has angles. Coaches talk about find the angle. There's 360 of them, and I love physics. I taught physics. I'm certified to teach physics in special ed in a regular classroom. So I believe that wrestling is physics. It's math. And there's a coach out there, Carolyn Wester, who believes that too. She's a female. And I met her. I'll tell you about that later. But I just began to be like, if you put your foot and create a fulcrum, your body does things. If you get in a quad pod and your hands are out as opposed to in, you can support the weight of your body. It's physics. It is physics. And so Coach Charlie Morris said to me, Tyler's ready to go national. He said, but I can't go. You can't afford me to go. We always just a joke. He's like, you can't even pay me to go. You can't afford it. Because I'm going to charge you a lot of money. I'm going to close my club. I can't coach one kid. He was like, but I'm going to teach you one thing. Whatever the coach of the opposing, he said, I'm going to teach Tyler how to wrestle. And I'm going to teach you how to coach. Whatever the coach of the opposing team tells his wrestler to do, I want you to say, Tyler, they're about to do this. He said, it doesn't mean anything to the two wrestlers, but it'll shut the yappy coach up. And sure enough, he's like, and you let the kids wrestle. So a coach will be like, Bulldog's there. I'm like, Tyler's going to hit a Bulldog. And the coach is like, what kind of
Genius.
coaching is this? And to this day, people would be there was a tournament, because Tyler it was a retro this year in Indianapolis, and an NCAA official came up to me, and because I still coach him like that to this day, and he said, I've heard all about you. I didn't know it was true. I'm glad I got to see it in person.
Okay, so he just went to the Worlds. He just wrestled in Vegas, correct? So were you coaching?
I did not go.
Okay.
So one of the things that Coach Escobedo and the Indiana staff is he's 20, right? He'll be 20. And it's time to let the bird fly.
Sure.
So I had a death in my family, and it didn't really stop me from going, but I'm like, let's see how he does it anyway. One of the things is Tyler's already qualified for because of Fargo. So there was no harm, no foul in me going, just kind of wanted, and he hasn't done freestyle in college. So I was like, let the bird fly a little bit. Let's see what happens. So I will be in Geneva.
Yes. When is that?
It is at Spire Institute, the World Team Trials, June 2nd through 4th.
That's okay.
But one of the things, going back to what you said, is learning that Tyler has another private coach. His name is Johnny Johnson. And one of the things he says is, if you love the sport, you'll know the sport, right? We know the history of things. I know the history of dementia. I can tell you about all about, recruiting and how to recruit nurses. I learned my craft. So you got to learn your craft. So yeah, I have to know who the coaches are. I have to know who Tony Ramos is. Shame on me for not knowing who Angel Escobedo was. But you learn, I learned something about wrestling every day, and you
Yeah,
have to
no,
know it. And then the other
I
thing
agree.
was, um, I think because I am a single mom and raising Tyler to be, the man that he's becoming, is it was important for us to see wrestling from all vantage points. So Tyler was involved in youth coaching. So I was like his assistant in youth coaching. And Tyler, I'm a coach. I've done the coaching classes for USA, and am certified through USA Wrestling. And I also did officiating classes with Tyler.
Well,
And so both of us became, I didn't finish the test, but I did all the classes, study with him and all that stuff.
well,
And
that's
he's an
really,
official. Tyler is an official, and I
oh,
helped him.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think that just your story is just amazing. And like you said, like um just your perseverance through all of this and the trials and your positive outlook has just been, it's just amazing. And the reason that I started this podcast is because I felt like we weren't hearing from the moms.
for sure.
Like, because like you said, as my boys got older, they're 13 and 11, and my daughter's 8. As they get older, they get more elite, they're into more tournaments, they're traveling more, you get to know more coaches, more clinics. And we have this great tool online to be able to see all these training videos and hear all these interviews and podcasts. But I really wanted to hear from the moms, because I was
Awesome.
like, I get it. Like, okay, yeah, the coach, yeah, they're great, but what are the moms doing? Like,
Right,
are they even involved? Some may not
right,
be, and that's okay. Maybe they
right.
just give it all to, your choice. Maybe they're very involved and maybe they coach. Like, that's awesome that you coach. And that's something that I think that's a great goal to strive for, is to be able
It
to know enough to where you could sit on the sideline and be able to give them some pointers and advice and know what's going on. So, I mean,
it is
that's really cool to hear.
one of his matches. Um, and I don't know if I should say this. It's not bad. It's hilarious. But one of his matches in Vegas, I sent him a text message and I said, throw the underhook, right? You throw the underhook, that will make the wrestler uncomfortable. And he texted me back, and he lost. It was the blood round match,
Oh
and
yeah,
he
I saw
lost.
that one.
But
Yep.
he was actually winning, because
Yes.
every time he threw the underhook, the kid would duck from it. Now, what that coach did was adjust at the break, but at the beginning of the first period, Tyler won 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because, and I sent him, I said, he doesn't like underhooks. It will make him uncomfortable. I have text messages
That's awesome.
of that. So yeah, I'm not, by any means, I'm not a wrestler. If you ask me to coach another kid, I'll tell you no.
Yeah.
But I know Tyler.
Right.
Like there are some certain coaches, and I think Indiana is starting to learn this. Their coaches, Tyler cannot see on the right side.
Okay.
I've seen him run into officials because if they're on his right side, he cannot see. So coaches say, and this is all coaches do it because they say it to everyone. Move your feet. No, blind people don't move their feet. They will trip.
Oh,
A blind person will trip. Close your eyes and try to move your feet.
right,
It doesn't
right.
work. So moving your feet does not work for a blind person. Planting your feet works for blind
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
So
Right.
we always, and Tyler and I joke. He's like, they said move my feet. I was like, I heard it. And things like, Tyler will check into a table. He will go to the edge of the circle and he'll count in his
Hmm.
footsteps. And if you go watch any of his matches, he checks in, he puts on the um the leg, the tag. He goes to the edge of the circle and then he walks in so he can count, because I've taught him how to gauge how big a circle is.
Okay.
Math.
So he can't see on that right side, so he's using his other senses
Yep.
to
At the
help him.
beginning, as soon as the whistle blows, Tyler will touch the head of his opponent
Huh.
because the head will tell you where the head goes, the body will follow.
Sure, sure.
So where the head goes, if he can get where your head is, he can find the rest of his position.
Right. Oh,
So if a coach doesn't coach him like that, now I don't know wrestling. I'm not going to tell you what move to hit. I know he can't shoot from space because he can't see from space.
mm-hmm.
So I know that he's going to try to put his hands on you. He's going to
Right.
shoot
Okay.
underhook, 2-on-1, something like that. What you guys as coaches, what coaches want to do with that afterwards, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what Charlie Morris did. When Tyler lost his eyesight, Charlie Morris, he said, Tina, it's okay. I'm just going to blindfold him. He brought him in. He brought the entire team in. He blindfolded Tyler and cut the lights out, and they practiced in the dark.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear you say a lot is, yes, you're a single mom, but he has a lot of even positive male influences in his life that
Yes,
have helped to shape him. And that's really great to hear. And I feel like that's
absolutely.
just the wrestling community in general.
Yes,
I mean, they are so supportive. And if you need something, they reach out. And the coaches are just amazing and they care about you. And it's just really cool to hear
it
stories
is.
like that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an
So,
amazing community.
so was there ever a time where you were like, enough's enough? This is too much wrestling?
No, I listen to Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure he's having a good time and learning and growing. And at this point, like we have rules, right? We didn't talk about wrestling in the car. If you start a season, you must finish a season. You do not have to start the next season, but you have to finish the season because there's some value in that. We have rules like we would do like Wacky Wednesday. So Tyler used to get radiation and then go to practice right after radiation. And because he has a brain tumor on his optic nerve as well,
Mm-hmm.
and which is the visual impairment. And he would and I said, he's like, but you told me if I start something, I have to finish it. Well, yeah, but not on radiation day, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just lived by that. We would go down to radiation and he'd fall asleep on the way back and he'd be ready to practice. So like and coaches will be like, Tyler has no emotion. I said, when you've been through 80 seizures a day, 5 brain surgeries, it, like this is easy.
Wow.
This is easy for him. And
Yeah.
is wrestling hard? Yes, wrestling is hard.
But
It's
life's
one of the
hard.
hardest things, right? Like, once you've wrestled,
Everything.
anything, you can do everything, right?
Yeah.
Like famous words.
Yeah.
But like once you've had 80 seizures a day, this is easy.
Yeah.
So people kind of sometimes get frustrated. They're like, he's not showing emotion. Well, he is showing emotion. He has a lot of emotion. He's here,
Mm-hmm.
he's very passionate. I bet, Tyler still has seizures, still to this day.
Really.
Now, not 80 a day, pretty controlled, but there are times that he has had a seizure and he still shows up. He did not miss one class and in college, did not miss one class. He
Amazing.
ended with a 3.56 GPA. He likes
Wow.
3.6
Sure.
GPA, and he got accolades. Got an academic award at the wrestling bank. That's winning. And you asked me about what would I tell parents. The final piece that I would tell, and this is a key, it should be my number one, but it never is the final piece is everyone's winning is not your winning. Everyone's accolades and award and recognition is not so don't ever compare yourself, you know. And people would be like, well, my kid's not a, you know, yeah, who's, because I was gonna go say something, you know, way back when, who's the hottest wrestler now?
Oh,
Youth wise, I'm so far, I'm a year
oh,
removed from youth.
right.
There's a lot, right? I'm gonna think of one.
Well, like Bo Bassett is very
Right,
the
Bo is,
Bassett
and
family.
Bo is kind of removed because he's so much younger than Tyler. We were on a couple of teams. Mr. Bassett is amazing.
Amazing family.
He and I were on Kong together. The Kong wrestling team is amazing. I was trying to think someone closer to Tyler's age. Gabe Arnold is a family friend. His mom and I are very, very tight, so I can't use him. Joe Seeley. Joe beat Tyler this weekend. And people would be like, "Oh, you know, be like Joe." I would always tell Tyler, "You go out there and you be the best Tyler that you can be, because
I
if you're the
think.
best Tyler, that even if you lose, even if the score depicts you lost, you won."
Mhm.
If you've done, see, there are times that we do everything that we can do, and the outcome is still not what we want. I do that
Sure.
every day at work. Sometimes I'm a recruiter. For God's sakes, I try to hire people. I want to get this one perfect person, and that person takes a job somewhere else. I
Mhm.
don't give up. I don't quit.
Right, right. And that I was just saying, like, I wrote down this quote from C.S. Lewis, how the hardship often prepares ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. So, like,
Absolutely.
we're all ordinary people, but like, it's the hardships, it's the things we go through that prepare us, and we're all so different. So,
Yes.
I think you're right. Like, comparing is just that evil little kind of thorn that can really ruin it.
Yeah. It's
Eh,
like sabotage. You can
sure.
self-sabotage,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
I love the Bassett family. I love the Seeleys. I love, there's just the Rainies. I mean, I'm again removed from the youth scene, but the Cars. Linda Carr
Mm,
is one of my
awesome.
closest friends, and like but I don't want Tyler to be like David Carr,
Right.
and David doesn't want to go through what Tyler went. You know what I mean? But if
Yeah.
Tyler's the best Tyler and David's the best David, the outcome is the outcome,
I agree.
and it's
That's so
okay.
true. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler's story is just amazing. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to talk with you. I think a big thing is too that amazes me is just his joy, I guess, and
Yeah,
his positive outlook on things. Um, it's just astounding to me. And
thank you.
as your mom, as a mom, I just really, really just am thankful that your story is out there and other moms can listen to it. And um, it's just really cool. So I
Thank
appreciate
you
your
so much.
time.
I'm very blessed, and just again thankful to God. Like God chose me to be the mom of that kid, and it's an honor. It's
Yeah,
an
I
honor.
agree. I agree.
And so one of the other things that people say, like, you moved with him. I, I
No,
did.
I I
I
feel like,
did.
and that's another thing I was going to ask you is, okay,
Yes.
so I know that there's different levels of wrestling. So my boys are at the youth,
Yes.
Christian's 13 right now. So
Yes.
he's starting to get more elite. Eventually it's going to be high school, more traveling. Okay, what would you give advice wise for, okay, now you're wrestling for a D1 college. Like, what is that like? Is it different? Is it a lot more intense?
Yeah, it's different because the ownership is different. The accountability level is different. Um, I guess I would say probably in high school. And again, like we went through COVID years, so it's important. It was different, but you have to be hands off. You have to learn when to be hands off. And people think because I move here, I'm hands on. I'm really not. Like I don't go to practice with him. Now, yeah, I've driven him to practice. He cannot drive in the evenings. Of course, I've
Right.
driven him to practice. Yes, he did live in the dorms. He chose the second semester. He lived in the dorms the summer and first semester. He chose second semester to not live in the dorms. There's never going to be a time I deny my son living with me. That is ludicrous. So yes, he lives with me now. To save money, not very transparent. It's way cheaper to live with your mother, and or your family. But yeah, it's different. It's very stressful in a good way because high risk, high reward, right? Like, so the more, that you put into it, as with anything, the more you're going to get out of it. And just the opportunities. I always laugh, and they're the bonds that they make, with the coaches, with their teammates. And these are grown men. That's the biggest difference is they're grown, they're adults. And the other advice is there is no college coach that's going to call you and tell you that Tyler has a boo-boo. Tyler felt if Tyler breaks his arm, they're not calling you in college. Like, Tyler has to be able to handle it. Now, I am fortunate because not every athlete has epilepsy. So I helped them with some epilepsy education and got them connected with the Indiana Epilepsy Foundation so they can come in and when they travel and things like that. That is my role. I'm his advocate. And I'm teaching Tyler, like, he didn't really have to worry about who those people were, but as an adult, he does. He needs to advocate for himself. When he goes to work, his managers need to know that he has seizures and things like that. But that's my role. That's why I moved here, because epilepsy is important. It's funny that you asked that too, because when there was a football game, football's huge here, football and basketball. I mean, I am in Hoosier Nation, right? And there was a football coach. It was the Indiana Hoosiers playing the Michigan Wolverines, and the Michigan coach had a seizure. And our trainer and I had a conversation. I love our trainers, by the way. Coach Kyle, or he's not even a coach, but I call him Coach Kyle. He goes everywhere with him. Kyle Winters is amazing. We had a conversation, like, it can happen at any moment, and you have to know what to do. So it's very important that our staff knows what to do. And I'm pleased with how Indiana has handled it.
Well, it sounds like he has a really good support group around him. And I always tell my boys too, if they decide that they do ever want to wrestle in college, we would follow them. Yeah. And I think, and it's not like, I don't think that's weird at all. Like, wrestling's hard, and you're constantly training, you're working in school. Like, if I'm there to help them make sure they're getting the nutrition they need and support them in any way, why wouldn't I do that for them? I think it's kind of like different. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's not like, no one can do it on your own.
Right.
And you hear wrestlers talk about that all the time. It's their teammates, it's their coaches, it's their parents, it's their friends that are all supporting them. Otherwise, you can't do it on your own.
You can't do this on your own. So two things about that. And I always tell people, and then when there is a stigma because I'm a woman. There is totally, and a single mom. So they're like, you moved here, but
like, you're overprotective.
And then, well, no, the next question is, what do you do for a living?
Okay.
Is always the next question. And I always say, why? Like, so if I was like, if I said something different than what you expect me to say, I always say I'm like the question with the question type of gal. Like, I'm like, so if I, what can't I do to move here? Like,
right.
What were those things you were thinking about to move here? And then people really kind of think about it. But one of the things that, for that is, if you look, and I will not name names because I think, you see it. If you look at the highest level of wrestlers right now, the ones winning, go check and see where their parents live. Now, their parents may not live there permanently, but I guarantee they have a house there or an apartment. And you know how I know? Because there are athletes in other sports here that have the same setup.
Oh, sure.
So I'm very close friends with a basketball player's mother who they moved here.
Sure. Yeah.
And you look at like the NFL draft was just a couple weekends or last weekend, and I was watching the interviews after the draft, and people were like, my mom is moving with me. I'm moving my family with me. It's no different.
Mhm.
It's the same concept. If you're support, and I'm not saying Tyler would have won more matches I don't know what
Sure.
happens in Vegas, but I do know the kids who won, their parents, a lot of them had their parents there. I do know that.
Mhm.
And it makes a difference.
And I think one of the things that we do is we hold our family values very high up. So, we're a godly family, um and our relationship with each other is important.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't seem like a sacrifice. I mean, we're wrestling moms as it is. Like, how much do we already sacrifice?
Right, right.
So,
It's not, it's been a fun, I have a home still in Atlanta. I can go there whenever,
mhm,
like, and this has been a fun journey.
yeah,
Tyler moved in, we didn't even talk about that, but really quick, Tyler moved in after eighth grade, we moved to Ohio, and I would do it all over again 100 times.
right,
There's nothing I would change except the pandemic, but there's
sure,
nothing I would change. I love that my son is well-rounded. It's funny because people are like, you live in a hotel. We did. We lived in hotels a lot. But my son knows how to travel.
mhm.
He knows how to check in a hotel. We meet kids that don't even know how to check in hotels, you
Life
know?
skills.
He has life
Yeah.
skills galore.
Sure.
And Tyler, like he didn't drive early, but now he drives during the daytime. He drives all the time, and he like he knows how he grocery shops by himself. He does everything. He's
Yeah.
very self-sufficient. Like living with your mom, and I've had to get people to understand that living with your mom does not mean you're not self-sufficient. We
Yeah.
don't like when we live together now, it's not like when he was 10. I'm not like clean your room, it's not like that at
Yeah.
all. We're like roommates.
Sure. Sure.
And I
Yeah.
travel a lot for work. I go out of town. So he's got like a pad to himself.
Yeah. Sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tina. I've really enjoyed this. I think your story is amazing, and I'm excited to see Tyler's success. I mean, he's just getting started.
Yes, and
So,
I'm just happy and blessed to be along the ride,
sure.
and we love sharing our story because you never know, and that's wrestling is like that,
Yeah.
each one help one, and I'm blessed to be a part of the wrestling community. I'm blessed to be Tyler's mom. I'm blessed to meet people like you,
Yeah.
and I appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah. No, I definitely same. It's like, that's the thing I like the most, is being able to meet other moms and hear the stories and have a connection.